This is a 2001 Series 2 VX Berlina. Now, these kind of cars have cemented themselves in Australian culture. Whether you've owned one of these or you've been in the back of one, your parents have had one, these cars, or you've been a P-plater and buy one, they are so part of the Australian motoring experience, it has been impossible to ignore them. I mean, there is hundreds of thousands of these made through the VT, VX, VY, VZ series. They all shared the same shell. And the one that we have here is a little bit special for a few reasons, but we'll get into that in a second. But first of all, this car is in fantastic nick. As you can see, it is in this Shanghai red, which is a great, great color. I will go into it a little bit more, but this car is just such a good example of a real car of the people, a real car of Australia, something that we only had in Australia. Nobody else got this. Now, unlike some of the earlier models, you could never get a Calais in the VX Wagon series, but you could get a Berlina. And this one is about as top spec as it gets, and we'll go through what it has in a second. But to find one like this now is very rare, because these cars have had 20 years of being used as $500 shopping carts and family runarounds and things like that. And I still think even today, they make fantastic family cars, because first of all, you could get two engine options in these. You could get the 3.8 litre V6 Ecotec, fantastic engine, runs great, doesn't sound very good with an exhaust, but fantastic engine, frankly. And this one is even better. This is the 5.7 litre V8. Very rare to find this in a wagon. And again, finding one in a wagon in this color combination is just a unicorn. It's really, really quite a special thing. While we're at the front here, we'll talk about something that's specific to the Berlinas. Now, all of the VX Berlinas have this sort of front end. They don't have the teardrop headlights, and the Berlinas have the clear headlights, and the Calais have the black. So you can always tell a Berlina, well, you can always tell a Berlina is a Berlina because of that. Now, a lot of the times when you guys see these cars now, they are not often owned by families as they once were. Usually they're P-platers. They usually don't have these wheels, which these are the original Series 2 VX Berlina wheels. Fantastic wheel, really suits the car. And obviously this car is standard height. Both of those things you're not going to see on most of these wagons. Most of them will have stockies, especially on the rear. They'll be slammed. And they'll be a shadow of what they once were. But this car is really special, honestly. Now, while we're here, we'll shout out to Bowen Tyre and Auto for lending us this car in Geelong, so we really, really appreciate it. But here you can see the back side of the car. Now, again, it's not like a Calais, you know, there's no chrome and all that stuff, but it is still pretty nice. We do have our Berlina and Series 2 badging there, and if we push in our little button there, we have our big cargo area. Now, this car has this cargo blind, which is pretty cool. You can wind that in and see all my camera gear, and it's also been fitted with a cage. And again, that cage really, it might seem something small, right? But it's what made this car a family car. You know, you can have your dog in the back, you can have pets. You can use this car as a runaround. And that is why these have been so popular in Australian culture, because, you know, even today you can pick, not a V8 one, but you can pick a V6 one of these up for next to nothing, use them, abuse them, and they're reliable as anything, and they're really, really practical. So I think that these are, that it's just such a shame that we've gotten rid of the wagon. And it's hard to believe as well, when this was new, the competition of this car was the AU wagon. Again, that's a good car in its own right, but I don't know how the old 302 is going to compete with the LS1. Now, being the Berlina, the top spec, we are a little bit spoiled in here. So we have cruise control, we've got electric windows, we've got climate control, we've got steering wheel buttons, heaps of electrics, and we've got a tier 3 cluster, which is also really, really cool. But the thing that is really special about this car, 31,000 kilometers on this car. That is all. From 2001, that is pretty much unbelievable. I can't believe how many Ks are on this, because, again, these were never purchased. I mean, maybe some of these V8 ones were, but especially one like this that's top spec and stuff. But these cars have, 99% of them have been used as family runarounds, daily drivers, even like work cars. People buy them for $1,000. They're a bit rough. And because they're so reliable, they can use them as a work car. So to find one like this really is properly special. And, you know, because it's the Series 2, it's got the black dash, the black door cards. It's really smart in here. All of the buttons work, you know, It's weird that everything works. Even the thing that always breaks on VTVX, the little cover on the cup holder, that is working perfectly. It's just a really nice place to be. Now, me alone, I've spent a lot of time in the back of these wagons. And this has got to be one of the best. They give you so much legroom, which is awesome. But this one, there's foam on the seat. It's like it's just been refoamed. It's actually quite hard, which I'm not used to, but there's just so much room in here. And it's just, you know, you got a little pocket there, and I've even got a little armrest here. How cool is that? So I don't know, it is a really nice place to be back here. Just a great family car. But this is one of the other things that makes this car special. This having the 5.7 litre, 220 kilowatt LS1 is pretty rare in a wagon. By this time they'd sorted all the issues out, and the VX was really the first car, not that had the LS1, the VT did. By the time the VX rolled around, they had really sorted all of the teething issues with the LS1, and these engines have proven to be not only a cultural icon, frankly, for the US and Australia, but they have proven themselves as extremely reliable engines. And in fact, driving this today, I don't think I've ever driven one that's as low as kilometers as this. And of course, it runs like an absolute dream. Alright guys, we are in the wagon, and like I said before, it's just started drizzling, which is a shame. We're sort of headed back now, but it's not sporty. I'll be honest, you know, it's not an SS, it's not a clubby, and it's actually quite unusual to have, you know, I'm almost forgetting that it's a V8. You don't really think about it, then all of a sudden it's got 220 kilowatts, you know, the same engine that's in a Corvette. So you kind of forget about that because it's so understated. But I just feel extremely privileged to be able to experience one of these with only 30,000 Ks on it, because this car is pretty much new. It still smells nice, you know, everything works. I really like the cruise control on these cars. Like, you press it in and then you twist it. It works really well. Small highway pull. I guess one of the practical reasons of having a V8 is this car would be quite good at towing. You know, it's got a towing package, probably a fair bit more capable. But because it's not a ute or anything, so you're not going to be towing anything crazy, but it is pretty capable. And I guess it might be a bit of a compromise, you know, if, I don't know, if Dad has to get a family car, but at least it's got a big V8 in it, he might be a little bit more willing to get rid of his SS ute or whatever. But I really do like the level 3 cluster, because you can change, you know, your average speed. I can see my trip distance, I can see my fuel economy, which at the moment is 12.8 litres per 100, 31,000 Ks average speed, all of that stuff, trip distance, fuel used, distance to empty, all of that kind of stuff, instant fuel. And it's a nice place to be, and I love the climate control. It just, everything works really well. I also love the standard head units in these cars, because they have this huge, enormous volume knob. It's just ridiculous how big it is, but it's so functional. Everything in this car works. It's just great. It's a great car, honestly. Great example of an old family wagon, and such a shame that these are gone. You know, these have all been replaced by Toyota RAV4s and all of that kind of stuff. And you know, I guess they're not bad cars, but wagons are just so cool. They're so practical. They're a normal car. They're low down, but high enough that they're comfortable. The death of the old ute, the old style ute that shared the same chassis with this, and the death of this car is just, it's so sad. And I'm not against Ford Falcons either, you know, I'm actually quite like them, but I think that visually this does better than the AU wagon, which is its competitor. And I think it's much better running gear than the V8s have unfortunately. They're not terrible. I don't mind the old Windsors and stuff, but yeah, these are a lot nicer, a lot more advanced, and the market reflects that, because one of these today is probably between $10,000 to $15,000, and not that there were many V8 wagon AUs, but yeah, they're not rich in that money. So yeah, you could very easily daily drive one of these. You know, forget that it's got 30,000 Ks, forget that it's a V8. You know, you can still get a Berlina V6 wagon for pretty cheap. Great daily driver, comfortable, practical, still good today. Airbags, everything you need and nothing you don't. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, because this car really speaks to me. And you know, no, it's not a HSV or a Clubby or a Senator or anything like this, but this is a car that a lot of Australians will connect with, and just seeing such a good example of this is really special. No matter where you are on the economic or socio-economic ladder or whatever, I think most Australians would have had an experience in one of these cars. Their mates owned one, they've owned one as a P-plater, that kind of thing. So I think this will do really well. And since I've uploaded it on social media, it's already doing pretty well. I just uploaded a few photos of it, and it's a real darling. It's a real darling, because again, these cars, they've making a bit of a resurgence now in terms of collectability. Like, this is quite a collectible car now, like this, but it wasn't that long ago where, you know, they're stacked 6 foot high at the wreckers. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you guys very much for following along and subscribing. Thank you all the guys that have subscribed to me on Instagram. I really appreciate it, and all of that stuff that you guys do, following along and sharing, and actually subscribing as well on Facebook. All of that stuff really, really helps, guys. I really appreciate it, and more than I could ever say. Hopefully you can see it in my face. If you guys would like your car on the channel, if you've got a little unicorn like this, then please feel free to get in touch. I just have a bit of a backlog. If you've messaged me and I haven't gotten back to you, don't worry. I promise, as soon as anyone messages me about a potential car, I always flag it and make sure I don't forget. But it can be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, because there are so many, but I don't want to miss out any of them. I want to do them all. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed.